Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over my anti-meta deck for the JUSH format. I've been playing Draco for a while, but honestly the deck is pretty fair, especially when it goes first. It's honestly just better going second most of the time, and it loses to a lot of hand traps that are pretty common at this point, and also people have caught on to start siding Retaliating C. So honestly the deck just doesn't feel worth playing at this point because I'm just going to lose to one imperm or to Retaliating C. Obviously you can play certain cards in your deck to mitigate that, like Cartesia and opening 5 mana plus combo already, but your opponent's still gonna have like 3 or 4 hand traps, especially if you're playing against Yummy. It's just not gonna be a good time. However, the deck can just like pop off really hard and just kill your opponent really quickly. However, I would prefer to play a deck that doesn't play into the hand traps of the format right now and is still like pretty strong and has like good lines under a lot of the hand traps that are being played. So basically the conclusion that I came to is either Centurion, Branded, or P.U.N.K, and I decided on P.U.N.K because Centurion is basically the same thing, but your interruptions are actually like not super good. It's like only hand traps that are really doing anything, and like you end on Blazar. Plus the Centurion cards are better with the Bystials, and the Bystials are pretty bad right now, unfortunately. They just don't do anything into the new decks, and if you can in Mitsurugi, like cool, I guess you're up. But other than that, it's just like not that great. You can play the cash cards, which is what I'm playing in this deck, in the Centurion deck, but the levels are like not as good. The level synergy in this deck is just like better. So that's why I'm opting to play this over Centurion. And then the problem with Brand is that you just get Paradise Smasher because you have no hand traps in your deck. Other than that, I'd probably play Branded because the going second engine part of that deck is just so insanely strong. And when you go first, you put up a much better board and your lines under Charmies is still like pretty decent. You can play through like the Deify effects of like Herald and whatnot. But this deck kind of cares about Herald. It depends what your openers are. So going second against Yummy, you have no hand traps, it can be rough. But you do play like 16 hand traps, I think. We'll get to it. So this deck has a lot of room for non-engine, which is really nice. So basically right now what I'm playing, I've only been playing this deck for like a week. So my list is probably going to change, but I'm playing 12 1-card starters. Telly, Zeoman are actually the worst starters in terms of like value you get out of your combo. But they're still a combo, so you have to play them. And then Ogre Dance is a better combo, and Foxy Tune is also a better combo, and basically the reason why is because of this card, Rising Scale. So you pretty much have to have another P.U.N.K monster in your graveyard to make the combo better, basically. And if you normal summon Zeoman, you have to make Almirage. And then if you start Telly, you basically need an extender. At that point, it's like really rough. But Telly is your best extender in the deck, so you definitely play it. And it's also still like pretty much combo. And then you play one trap. I know a lot of people are cutting this card and Madam Inspired, but this card's really good. And basically Madam Inspired is still relevant because in the standard combo, like if you don't get interrupted, obviously, it allows you to do the draw 2 on your turn and the draw 2 on your opponent's turn. Whereas like without this, you're only drawing once on your turn. And honestly, I can't guarantee that I'm going to draw my opponent's turn because that's when they're mostly going to disrupt me. So I want to guarantee that I at least get the 2 draws, so I have like the hand traps to beat them as well. And then you have the best card in the deck. The Field Spell is ridiculous. It lets you draw 2 on your turn and then 2 on your opponent's turn, as long as you're able to do the Amazing Dragon line on your opponent's turn. So yeah, you literally get to draw 4 in the main combo, which is ridiculous, and you get to set Imperm, plus you're gonna have follow-up. It's just, the deck is really self-sufficient for the most part. And then you play the 1 Spider, the 1 Shirakusai. I actually think I'm gonna play this at 2, because sometimes I just want to convert my guy to IP if I didn't use Telly, and then I can set the Telly and summon this from deck on my opponent's turn anyway. And then the 1 Wagon, 1 Deer Note. I also was thinking about playing 2 Deer Note and 2 Rising Scale, because even though the Rising Scale is like the most broken card in the deck, it doesn't do anything on its own, and Deer Note is super good with any other name. It's also a 5, which might come up later with the other cards I'm playing in the set currently. And then the second best engine in the deck is Unicorn and Birth. So this just makes your combo like way better, and also it makes you more resilient to hand traps and punishes your opponent. Also Birth is just like good against certain decks like Draco Tail, and it's really not that bad against Vanquish Soul too sometimes. It's pretty bad against Yummy, unfortunately, just because it targets the cards. But other than that, like Unicorn is just pretty good into the other decks as well. And then at the moment I'm playing the K9 hand traps, and the reason why is that because their level synergy is like pretty decent with this deck. So if your 3s get interrupted, you can still make the Dragon Drive to search or send a level 3, so you can add Ghost Ogre, or, you know, like if you have Hard Drew the Field Spell, like you still have ways to play. You can also make Dragite if you already did Rising Scale stuff, so you have a water engrave for it. As well, like Ripper is just a good card because you can pretty much always insulate yourself from Nib in like any 2-card combo because of these cards, and Unicorn, as well as drawing multiple Punk Nibs helps insulate you from Nibiru. But yeah, the level synergy is just really, really good in this deck. And then Lupus into Typhon is also like still pretty decent because a lot of the cards in this deck can play under Typhon. The reason why I would cut it though is because I don't have like a lot of room in my extra deck, and there's like other cards I think I want to play. So I'm not super sold on it yet, but so far they've been like okay. And then for the hand traps right now, I have 3 Ash, 3 Ghost Ogre because this card is low-key engine. Because basically the way Amazing Dragon works is the compulse is for every different name of level 3 psychic tuners. It doesn't have to be punk monsters, so this counts as one. So as long as you see this card, you get an extra compulse in case you didn't see your other names, which is pretty cool. Then I have 2 Valor and 2 Belt, and then just 1 Nib because I never really want to have this be the hand trap that I start with. Because don't get me wrong, like this card is still like decent if you pair with other hand traps, but this is like a late game tool for you and a really good comeback card because a lot of times like if I'm starting this and then I have Unicorn, like the Unicorn is immediately turned off, which is the other confliction with the K9 cards. However, I think the K9 cards are like much better in this deck going first because they're like pseudo called by the grave basically. And then I don't have Fu in the main deck right now. I did have it when I tested it last night. The reason why is pretty similar to Centurion, and essentially like you're going to be drawing dead cards on your opponent's turn if you're comboing, which is not going to seal the deal. Like the way you seal the deal when you get to go first is that you draw like 3 unique hand traps and follow up if you don't already have it, or like even if you draw multiple hand traps, it's like fine, that are the same, like because you can use these like later in the turn. I was playing 3 Valor, but I think like 3 Ghost Ogre is actually like really important. Obviously this card is really bad into Draco Tail, and Yummy players can play around it a lot, but the card is just like good in this deck because it synergizes with your entire engine. And I mostly chose to play tuner hand traps because tuner hand traps are just always good in synchro decks pretty much, as well as like the levels work really well because basically Valor and Unicorn makes the level 8 guy as well as making Dragite, which is pretty nice. And it can come up in like simplified game states where that sort of thing happens because a Dragite in a simplified game state is actually like backbreaking against a lot of people because a lot of the power cards in decks are the spell cards. So if you have a hard negate that's once returned for that, it's pretty foul. And also Dragite has a secret effect that pretty much never comes up, but basically you can excavate top 5 cards of your deck. If you hit Nib, you can compulse one of their cards, which is pretty funny. I don't know how often it would ever come up, but it's definitely happened for at least once. Yeah, and then obviously like Ash is Ash. Ash is insane, and I chose to play Belt because a lot of the times the card that lets Yummy come back and like really be resilient through hand traps and like your disruptions is the quick play, surprise, and this card can negate it no matter what effect they use. So that's why I'm opting to play this, and I kind of want to play 3 Bell and 2 Ghost Ogre because even though Ghost Ogre is like engine, it's not good into all the decks in the format, whereas like Bell is like pretty usable against everything. Also like them being 3s is like pretty sick because you can make Chen Ying with the Unicorn, or if you have Izuna, like this turns into the Dragon. So yeah, that's basically the reason why I played these hand traps specifically. I think Droll is pretty terrible in this deck, unfortunately. Same reason why it's like bad in Centurion. Basically, like you're going to be drawing cards on your opponent's turn, and you basically can't do that. You also like can't draw yourself because Droll is like pretty decent against this deck. I'm still siding it because until Mitsurugi gets taken care of, you kind of need to. Although at that point you could probably just play Perulia. And then for my extra deck, right now it's like pretty unsolved, I think. So I think the only 2 that you actually really need in this deck are the Amazing Dragon and the Jam Fever. This card is just ridiculous. It insulates your plays and it's disruption on your opponent's turn, and it also just like randomly can draw you a card, which is freaking broken. The only thing I'll say about the monster negate is that like if you start Unicorn and Valor, it's not a negate because it has to have exactly a level 3 psychic tuner in the graveyard. It just has to be a level 3 psychic monster. But this is also a generic level 8 Xyz, which is pretty cool if you want to play like the Millennium Engine or Horus cards. And Amazing Dragon's just freaking ridiculous because it also lets you summon back a guy from your graveyard, so it's like a combo extender too, as well as disruption on your opponent's turn, and you can just like overlay it into this. This card's like actually the reason why this deck is really good. And then I'm only playing 1 of these. I would consider playing 2 of either of these, but probably not both because like there's plenty of other extra cards in the extra deck that I want to play. But basically like you only need this to resolve once to see your entire engine. Like the effect to synchro with this I think is a little fake personally. And then Dragon Drive, like this card recurs itself, summons itself from the graveyard if your opponent responds to like any of your punk effects, which is just stupid, and it gets its effect when it's special summoned off a punk monster, and this is still a punk monster. So like you special it back from your effect and then you go effect, draw a card off the field spell, and then you get to search either follow up or Ghost Ogre. It's really up to you what you want to do. They're also 8s, so like you can make the Jam Fever too, which is really good. But I don't think you ever need more to do combo because these cards don't really disrupt your opponent. They just like let you play the game. So once you've started to play the game, like you don't need them again, as far as I see. But I think there is like validity in playing two. And then these are honorary P.U.N.K cards. This card's just ridiculous. It'll just win you a game for free basically sometimes. And then you have to play Almirage because of this Aeon combo, but this card sucks. Like there's no reason why this deck should have to play this card. It's just like taking up a useless card slot. I'm just playing Ripper and Typhon. I was considering playing Valen, but the card's like kind of just okay. It's still good, but it's just okay. I think Typhon is like more important. You can activate a lot of your effects under Typhon, which is nice. Like you can play like Cashier's Mind Control basically if like your P.U.N.K engine isn't going, because like this, you can activate the Unicorn under it. Birth is just like a good card. And then you have like infinite hand traps. And it also helps you like play around it randomly. And Ripper's just ridiculous. It just like charges you an extender. Because basically like you'll have the negate off the Ripper, you'll have the Lupus engraved to turn this into Typhon on your turn, and then you have another Izuna. So if you need a combo extender later in the game, or it's just like a big body to like beat down your opponent with, to clear like Herald and stuff like that, you have that. Like you don't really need to make Nash Knight and all that because you have like so many other utility cards you want to play in your extra deck. Like Nash Knight takes up too much space, I think, is mostly the reason why I didn't play it. And then you have IP into SP. I think this is really important in diversifying your end board because basically like the Amazing Dragon isn't good against Yummy because they can just like tag out all their cards. It's like fine if they like just get started and like they start Lollipo, but when they start like Obedient School or Cupsy, like it's pretty mid because then you're just gonna put those cards back in their hand. They can summon them anyway. I think IP and SP is like a little bit better because basically you can banish the field spell immediately. You can also just like start banishing their names and like they use effects and you can tag this out. They need a lot of extenders to play through this plus other disruption. And then right now I'm testing Zeus. I don't know if this card is that good, but honestly if you resolve Zeus you should just win. You do lose your field spell, which is like kind of terrible, but it's like whatever I guess. So I'm not like super sold on it yet, but board wipes in general are really good this format. That's why I'm opting to play it at the moment. And then we have Dry Guy and Shagging. I don't know if I'm gonna end up playing this, but this card's pretty cool because basically you can check Draco Tail, because effectively what you do is you have this for one of the spells on their turn, and then you have this for the trap on your turn. And also like they have to start like Cartesian Refine Mana to play through this basically, unless they open like multiple spells, because I believe this negates activations. Yeah, negates activation, so they can like have two of the same spells, which is whatever. They also have two different spells, but it is what it is. But if you have the trap set right, like they can go Arthalion 1 and then like their graveyard effect Chain Link 2, and then you also have the Jam Fever to negate the one in the graveyard. So they have to structure their Chain Links the other way because basically you have the trap card. So what you would have to do is like if they go Arthalion 2 and then the graveyard effect 1, you just use your trap card and you get to keep your monster negate, and then they have to destroy the Dragite with Pan. This card's also good because it just like randomly negates Obedient School, and it also destroys the spell or trap that gets activated. So if they activate the field spell, you can just negate and destroy it, which is pretty good. And then Changing's pretty sick because it's really good into the board wipes in the format besides Zeus exactly. Because a lot of cards like destroy, so like Raisin destroys and Caesar destroys. It's also like a huge big body. You really don't care about having graveyard resources. It just helps you push for a game, and it's non-target banish, which is good against Yummy. So I think this card's like pretty good this format, but most decks can't make it. So this deck can make it, so of course I'm gonna play it. And right now, so all I have to say about the extra deck is that I don't know if I'll play this, and I just don't even know if I'm gonna play the K9 cards, to be honest with you, but they seem alright. In terms of the side deck, I don't really know what I'm gonna do at the moment, but I'm definitely signing Fua, obviously, for when I go second, because it's just ridiculous. I'm also signing Fenrir because more cash cards is like not bad in this deck. Like they're just your best extenders. Other than that, that's pretty much the deck that I'm going to be playing for this format until Dude. After Dude comes out, I have to look into that. I just want to give a shout out to my friend Tom for letting me borrow the cards, and I'll link his YouTube channel in the description below. It's called Boxcar YGO. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.